Welcome back, and this is Digital Communication Etiquette continued. So, we're going to be looking at blog etiquette. So, if you have a blog, here's some tips for you. The first one is to always respect copyright and intellectual property laws and regulations. So, if you're going to credit some research or share and copy pictures onto your page there, make sure that you credit the sources with a reference list and in-text referencing. So, we don't want to have any sort of copyright infringement, so make sure you acknowledge the sources that you've considered there. Think before you blog. So maybe at the time this seems like a good article to put out there, but make sure that you just think before you post it, because once it's out there, it's out there. Don't be abusive. Remember that you are speaking to other humans that are, just as sensitive, and avoid making, kind of those sort of comments that you might have to deal with later. Stick to the topic, whatever is relevant to your blog. If not, then start a new post and don't create too many topics in one post. And they say don't respond to blog trolls. A troll is a slang word for a person that repetitively posts irrelevant messages on a blog. So don't respond to the trolls. Okay, let's go into the next section, which is inappropriate communication. Have you ever said something you wish you could take back online? But now, because of the internet, how it works, and the digital footprint, everything that you have done is probably still out there. So they're just saying here there is a lot of different examples of inappropriate communication, because when we're talking about it, we just consider that all communication is good communication. But there is a risk of oversharing things in your communication out there. Of course, we have cyberbullying, that is not appropriate communication. Any maliciousness, hacking, spamming, identity theft, and be careful of your online conduct and behavior as well. Other things I've also said here that can be inappropriate is taking calls or texting in a meeting or class. That'd be inappropriate digital communication. Inappropriate use of work resources, streaming inappropriate material in public, and so on. In our next section, we're going to be looking at media fluency. Okay, let's go into the next part of our work. Oh, I've included just a little bit more there to elaborate on the inappropriate communication fluency before we start media fluency. They're just saying that businesses in particular need to be very careful when it comes to this sort of communication. In terms of within the business, there's internal communication that can impact on the careers and communication within the company. So when as an employee, you're typing emails and that's part of the internal communication, and the external communication is communication outside the company. So even though that the businesses need to be very careful what message they're sending out there and how they are communicating to each other in terms of work emails, they also need to focus on appropriate and, I would also say, relevant and transparent advertising. Transparent about the product and the ethics of a company, and understand the cultures and language involved in the company. So just include this aspect as well, that besides just us, businesses also need to take into account that they are communicating with each other through emails, and are they being appropriate in their manner, and what are they communicating outside the company to us? Are they sending out appropriate advertising, or are they kind of shifting the boundaries? Nando's tends to do this in their ads, kind of shift the boundaries of the advertising. And if you ever bought a Steers burger or a McDonald's burger, and you saw it on the ad, and then you got that exact same burger when you bought it, has that ever happened to you? If not, then maybe the company was not transparent about their product. And therefore, I think this is a very bad thing, because when I see this pizza on the TV, I expect to get the exact same pizza, and so on. Okay, let's start media fluency. I'm just like this is actually what I already covered here. So don't worry, I already covered this. Let's go into the next part of our work. Okay, media fluency. So now we've covered already information, solution, and collaboration. Now we're going to touch on media and collaboration once again, because they do go hand in hand. When you're creating online that content, you're also collaborating online. So this involves, once again, our listening, and then with the leverage, the medium, and the message. So when they're talking about this, learning to listen to the message, verbalize the message, and then verify that message being sent. And then the next part, where they're also just talking about the medium to convey that message and leveraging it there. So just going on to the next part of the work. I think let's just stay on this part here. The message involves the two sort of points there. Message involves two elements, content and outcome. So I'm just going to read this out here. There will be times when you know the outcome of what you want and the message you want to achieve, and then you need to create the content to support those outcomes. And at other times you know the message, but you'll need to consider the outcome. Either way, the outcome you want to achieve from the message is important. That structures the communication different ways for the different outcomes. For example, your flatmate forgot to take the garbage out, which is normally their duty, and you want to tell them that you've already taken it out. You can either say, I know you're under so much pressure right now, so I took out the garbage out for you. Let us go and have something to drink and just relax, and you can tell me what is going on, or you forgot the garbage. And you can never remember, you can never remember to take it out. This is called tone, which we discussed earlier. Okay. Once you've decided on the message, it is now about the medium in which to deliver the message, and the medium has those three outcomes of audience, ability, and criteria. The audience is to decide who this is going to be in terms of demographics, language, and culture. Ability is, who has the ability and access to work with this on. If you have no Photoshop skills, you want to use an image that's manipulated, you're going to struggle in achieving that desired outcome. And lastly, the medium is the criteria that may be in place, a deadline or a limited budget, they're saying there. Okay, it's important to note what the criteria is there as well. The next one we're going to move on to is collaboration. Okay, this is quite beneficial once again for collaborative projects. I mean, we collaborate all the time using, WhatsApp, Skype, and I think there's also business for Skype as well. And Google Docs, I believe, is when you can edit a document online and saves for you, and people can add to that as well. Blackboard Collab is also a good tool to use. And yeah, I think that's all we can say there. I think they also mentioned OneDrive, and I'm pretty sure you guys also know a lot of different collaborative tools out there. And then lastly is creative fluency. And they just go into talking about that intelligent levels of tradition only been measured in terms of math-based thinking, and there are people that have actually several levels of IQ, and I just wanted to mention some of them here. Musical people. So this is just the different levels of IQ when it comes to creativity. There are people that are, let's start off with math. People that are good at math and analyzing problems. They enjoy thinking about abstract ideas. And then there are people that are very musical aligned, can recognize the musical pattern and tone. Other people, they're very good at visual spatial, good at solving puzzles and looking at maps and chart work and so on. So maybe you guys can look through those skills there of the several levels of IQ and see which one you are. And then we have the creative fluency process. Identify is the first one, which is to identify in the step where you want to overload that information for the problem solving. Is also related to defining of the solution fluency. Inspire, which is part of the dream stage of solution fluency, to seek inspiration through artwork and photos and research. Interpolate, which is to find connections and patterns in your research and to find source systematic data. Imagine, while you're going back and forth, you're going to discard irrelevant information and hone into what exactly is your possible solution there. And inspect, evaluate the probability of the solution that you've chosen. Okay, how do we feel about those fluency skills so far? Do we have it? Okay, let's go into the last part, which is digital communication trends.